Imagine you're standing on an island where the wind shrieks at more than 120 kilometers per hour. Rain blasts sideways, cutting into your face like needles. In front of you, living boulders, weighing tons, are scattered across the black sand shore, elephant seals. Around you, penguins waddle past your feet as if you're an outsider. But the most ridiculous part is this. You look down at your feet and realize this ground isn't continental land, and it isn't volcanic either. You're standing on Earth's mantle, something that should be lying kilometers deep beneath the ocean floor. This is Macquarie Island, a barren strip of land in the Southern Ocean, and the strangest island on Earth. Macquarie Island isn't big. On the map, it's just a thin streak in the sea. It's about 34 kilometers long, its widest point is just over 5 kilometers, and its total area is only about 128 square kilometers. You could even walk from the east coast to the west coast in just a few hours. But don't let the size fool you. Macquarie isn't small. It's concentrated, concentrating everything most intense about Earth into a strip of land as thin as a blade. If you're used to the idea that islands are volcanoes, Macquarie will make you forget it completely. It wasn't built up from lava like Hawaii, and it isn't a broken-off piece of continent like New Zealand. Macquarie Island is made entirely of oceanic crust and the upper mantle, materials that should be deep beneath the seafloor, buried for millions of years. Under your feet is a living geology museum, literally, where you can see an almost complete rock sequence. First is peridotite, mantle rock, from a depth of about 6 kilometers. Seawater altered it into serpentinite, with its distinctive green color. Above that is gabbro, a slow crystallizing rock with large crystals, the kind where you can see sparkling mineral grains with the naked eye. Next come steep walls of rock, sheeted dikes. Once ancient magma conduits, frozen into dark bands packed together like books on a shelf. And on top is pillow basalt, pillow rock, lava erupting into cold seawater, instantly solidifying into rounded, swollen lumps like throw pillows. Anywhere else on Earth, to see these layers, people would have to drill kilometers down or dive to the seafloor in a submersible. But on Macquarie Island, you just have to walk. So why does something this absurd exist? Because Macquarie sits right at a planetary fight zone, the boundary between the Pacific Plate and the Indo-Australian Plate. Here, the two plates don't just slide sideways past each other. They also squeeze into each other at an angle, a type of boundary called transpression. Imagine laying two rugs on top of each other, pulling them sideways while also pushing them together. They'll tear, wrinkle, and buckle upward. Beneath the Southern Ocean seafloor, Earth is doing exactly that, but on an unimaginable scale. Over millions of years, that pressure has pushed both the oceanic crust and the upper mantle up above sea level. And what's astonishing is that the process still isn't over. Macquarie Island is still rising, at a rate of about 11.5 centimeters, about 0.38 feet, per 100 years. It isn't a relic. It's a tectonic process still happening, right now. And that's why Macquarie Island is a holy site for geology, an almost complete cross-section of oceanic crust and mantle sitting right at the surface, allowing direct study without drilling or submersibles. It's like a rare window that opens straight into how Earth creates new crust and how tectonic plate boundaries work, right now. And then you might ask, if this place is that harsh, how does anything live? Macquarie Island has a kind of climate that almost doesn't exist anywhere else. In summer, temperatures rarely rise above 7 degrees Celsius. In winter, they rarely drop below 2 to 3 degrees Celsius. The difference between summer and winter is only about 3 degrees. But stable doesn't mean comfortable. More than 300 days a year bring rain, hail, snow, or fog. Winds regularly exceed 100 to 120 kilometers per hour. Why? Because Macquarie Island sits right in the roaring 40s and furious 50s, the strongest wind belts on the planet. Here, westerly winds blow around Antarctica, without any continent to block them. The Southern Ocean acts like a massive thermal stabilizer, absorbing heat in summer, releasing heat in winter. The result is weather that's always cold, wet, and stormy. But strange in one way, it's hard to change. And here's Macquarie Island's biggest paradox: a place that's freezing, battered by constant storms, and almost completely treeless, somehow becomes home to millions of animals. Every year, tens of thousands of southern elephant seals haul themselves ashore to breed and molt, adding up to as many as about 80,000 individuals. And along the island's rocky coastlines, you'll also come across fur seals gathering in groups, as if those shores are their territory too. And the beaches belong to penguins too. King, gentoo, rockhopper, showing up in huge numbers throughout the season. But the standout is the royal penguin, a species that's almost exclusive to this area. It breeds mainly on Macquarie Island and the nearby islets. In certain spots, the coastline turns into a moving black and white river. At Herd Point alone, the largest royal penguin colony can reach around 500,000 breeding pairs in season, dense enough to feel like you're looking at a living city. So why does a place this brutal hold so much life? The first reason is underwater. Macquarie Island sits in cold, nutrient-rich seas where water masses meet and constantly mix, pushing nutrients up toward the surface. Simply put, the ocean around the island is like a pot at a rolling boil, always bringing food up. And that triggers an explosion of life offshore: krill, small fish, squid, a food supply that's almost endless. The second reason is breeding. Many seabirds and seals can feed far down toward Antarctica, but they can't reliably raise young on ice. Macquarie gives them exactly what they need: open ground, relatively stable temperatures, and land that doesn't freeze solid year-round. The third reason is safety. Before humans arrived, the island had virtually no land predators. Birds nested right on the ground. Seals and elephant seals gave birth right on the beaches. And wildlife here was almost unafraid of people. And the result is one of the rarest sights still left on Earth: a living city. Loud, packed, chaotic, and completely wild. But if you look around, you'll notice something strange. Macquarie Island has almost no trees. The vegetation here is simple, but incredibly important. Most of the island is covered in tall tussock grass with deep roots that hold the soil, mosses, lichens, and low grasses, along with an endemic plant called Macquarie Island cabbage. These plants keep the island slopes from sliding into the sea, create shelter for birds, and form the foundation of the entire land ecosystem. If that foundation is broken, everything above it will collapse too. In 1810, humans set foot on Macquarie Island, and in just a few decades, the island entered a dark era. More than 200,000 fur seals were killed for their skins in only about 10 years. Elephant seals and penguins were boiled in massive iron pots for oil to light the industrial world. When the large animals ran out, people left. But they left behind rats, mice, and the biggest disaster: rabbits. By the 1970s, Macquarie Island had as many as 100,000 rabbits. They stripped the vegetation bare, caused severe soil erosion, and destroyed birds' nesting areas. At one point, Macquarie Island was almost clinically dead ecologically. Each year, about 20 to 30 people live and work at the research station on the island. No stores, no quick escape, no feeling of, if you want to, you can just go home. They aren't here to conquer nature. They learn how to live alongside it. Elephant seals sleep right outside the station door. Penguins walk through the work area. And everyone understands they're only temporary guests in a world that doesn't belong to humans. Each year, about 20 to 30 people live and work at the research station on the island. No stores, no quick escape, no feeling of, if you want to, you can just go home. They aren't here to conquer nature. They learn how to live alongside it. Elephant seals sleep right outside the station door. Penguins walk through the work area. And everyone understands they're only temporary guests in a world that doesn't belong to humans. Macquarie Island is strange not only because the mantle is exposed at the surface. It's strange because everything here is forced to exist at the harshest limits: geology, climate, vegetation, and animals, all stacked on top of each other on a narrow strip of land. In a place where the wind never stops blowing, where the rocks come from deep inside Earth, and where life still hangs on despite everything. Macquarie Island reminds us that Earth still has places that make humans fall silent and listen.